Okay. So, hopefully this works out okay. I'll be really pissed off if I have to record this again, but I'm trying to do my first legitimate video. I've been trying to get this set up for a while, but due to life and all kinds of other nonsense, it just hasn't worked out. But I have the microphone, I have the setup, I have the time, I have the patience, and I have the material. And I think you're gonna like it. So the content we're talking about today is I got stopped at around Punkhazard, which for those who haven't read is shortly after the time skip, which basically cuts the manga in half. Don't get me wrong, now I'm converted. I'm a One Piece fan, but I just had a little trouble getting back into actually reading it. And because of that, I thought actually talking about it arc by arc might help. Hopefully this will work out okay. I also want to talk about the movies and maybe some other stuff like a fan letter or Romance Dawn one shot. I'm doing this 50 for me and 50 for you. So hopefully you like it and you enjoy it. So the first saga, if you're unfamiliar, is called Romance Dawn. I want to go a little bit back because I'm going to talk about the fact that honestly, it really only took me this long to get into One Piece because of the art style. And I know that's treasonous to people who like it, and I know it might seem silly, but for me, that was one of the biggest things stopping me from actually getting into the manga. The art style just seemed so goofy, and I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a manga version of Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes. It just seems so silly, and so for me, I'm not usually that into comedy manga. Sometimes I'll watch comedy anime, but I think the last one that I really got into was Keroro Gunso back when I was in high school, you know? And even the greats like Azumango Daioh, I really think I was mostly into just because that was what was in the culture back then. There weren't a ton of options, and so pretty much everybody watched everything. Uh, and so for a long time, I judged it because of the art style. I just thought it looked bad, flat out. I thought there's no way this could be a serious, legitimate story when people are puffing up their arms and making crazy faces. And so that held me back. But one day, I was having a really tough time sleeping. I was having some personal struggles, and so I was actually very sick at the time. And it had been a couple days since I had been able to sit down for more than like an hour. Like I would get into it and have a little bit of a nap, and then my body would just stop sleeping. And I needed something to do, and I've heard so many people say such good stuff about One Piece. I figured it's really long, and I've got the time, so why not? And it took me a while. I didn't immediately get into it. I would say that probably the first time I was really feeling it was around Drum Island, Alabasta. But I didn't hate it either. Specifically, Romance Dawn, the beginning part, it's a pretty damn good introduction. It's got almost everything you'd want, and especially it does a good job of refuting all the complaints I had about it, right? Like the fact that it's this goofy thing. It did show that it was not just goofy, but genuinely funny. But it... Hold on. Thinking. Where was I? Oh yeah. So what Romance Dawn does is a pretty good job of refuting all the complaints I had about it. Yes, it has this crazy art style, but after a while, not only does it fade away because you're used to it, but you start to see how Oda uses it to accentuate the world and make this hyper reality real. Without that art style, it just wouldn't make as much sense. Like the sort of story he's trying to tell wouldn't work without the art style that it has. And you start to see pretty quickly that he's very serious about it. He gives all these people a personality. You know, the beginning part. Hey, come on now. I don't know how this will end up in the editing, but if it's not obvious from the actual editing. I'm at a dog park right now, and I started recording when nobody was here, but now there are other people, so I gotta make sure that my dog's okay and other people are okay. So, anyways, so where was I? Scene change. So what Romance Dawn does pretty good is, firstly, it really refutes all of my negative complaints that I had going in. It works really quickly to establish a bunch of characters with real internal lives and history, and like there's the one thing everybody always talks about, which is the use of hockey, and you don't learn what that is until right before the time skip, like 1,000 chapters later. So clearly it's not just that it feels big and deep and meaningful, but it is. I mean, who knows how much of that Oda had planned then, but it had to have been some of it, something. And you can really tell from what I heard. Oda has been working on this same concept, this one world, since he was 7, and he slowly built it up bigger and bigger and bigger. And it also helps a lot that the world of One Piece is essentially an infinite storytelling machine, since it's island based. Every single place they go, provide a new adventure with new friends and completely change up the rules, so you can keep it very interesting instead of just having to try to iterate on the same system and maybe end up doing some kind of Deus Ex Machina superpowered move that feels like bullshit. I think I really started to like. You'll see with the next arc. I do have some slightly more negative things to say, but for Romance Dawn, I don't really have any complaints. It's the perfect setup. You meet Luffy. You get his backstory. You get to see him start out on his venture, and you get to see him start affecting people immediately. He meets Kobe, and that sets up another future friendship. And he meets Zoro, and he helps him out. And it's also there that you already start seeing the importance of ideas and how meaningful personal concepts of ideas are, how meaningful people's dreams are, whether it's to be the world's best swordsman or the pirate king, or even more deeply, as I think I'll see as I get further into the manga, the ideas behind those. Like, Luffy wants to be free. There's this old song, and there's this sample from the beginning of it that I always think about in situations like this. Where a news reporter is asking some hippie kids, he's like, so what exactly are you looking for? What exactly do you want to do? And he's like, well, we want to be free to do what we want to do. And that's Luffy. That's being a pirate. That's one of the major lessons of One Piece, I think, that, freedom is excellent and freedom is worth it. And so while I was complaining about the art style at first, I don't know when I got used to it. It's just one of those things that happens over time. It certainly wasn't immediately, but I know for a fact that the contrast of the violence always really not took me out of it, but actually got me more into it, because it was just so shocking to see, somebody's arm or foot come off. Oda's doing something very smart. He's doing what you call a tone promise in writing, where he is giving you the idea of something that's going to happen later, even if he can't give it all to you at once because it wouldn't make sense now. He is giving you the idea that later there will be a lot of deep stuff, there will be a lot of lore, there even will be some violence and some dark stuff, but in order to get ready for that, first you gotta meet Luffy and his crew and all these people so that you know what you're fighting for. It's really a perfect intro. Romance Dawn, it's great. It's the perfect intro because it sets up everything to come in a nice little short encapsulation. When I first read it, I thought that it was too fast, it was too quick, that it was kind of silly because you went through Alvida to Morgan and then you were gone, and especially by the time I got to Buggy, it just seemed like, I think I tried to watch it at first was the issue. I remember trying to watch it and being kind of bored, and since it was later at night, I was kind of starting to fall asleep by the time I got to Buggy the Clown in Orangetown, 2 arcs from now. Which is funny because now I love Buggy. But the main issue is that it felt weightless. It felt, like I was afloat. And it's shocking how little changes can make a difference, because going to the manga and actually seeing Oda do it, the original, it's got all the fat stripped from it. It's much cleaner. It's much sharper. It's much more to the point, and it's crazy just the difference that small things like that can make, the small changes can make, because the manga slowly hooked me. Again, I was in a weird situation, dealing with insomnia and just trying to keep going so I could distract myself. That definitely helped. But the material itself is what was good and what was worth it. As an author, I want to talk about writing and what we can learn from it, but I do want the reviews to be accessible to anybody. And so I really want to talk about my feelings about what happened in each arc. And so I don't think I'm going to break down everything that happened maybe at the beginning of each one to go a bit more over just a general summation of what happened in each arc. So I don't know why you would come to this for your first one, because this is more about my feelings and vibes. But if you like this, stay tuned for more. I will do the next arc soon, and I think by the time I get to the end of East Blue, that is probably when I'm going to start talking about the movies and stuff.